Hello and welcome back to English the Easy Way. I'm Leo.
And I'm Chloe. Thanks for joining us again.
So, Chloe, I was thinking about something the other day. We spend so much of our lives just talking to people, at people, with people.
Yeah, it's pretty much all we do, isn't it? But how many of those conversations do you actually remember?
Exactly. Most of them are just gone. But then there are some that just stick for whatever reason. And that's what I thought we could talk about today memorable conversation.
Ooh, I love that. The ones that were super funny or maybe really awkward.
Or the ones that were surprisingly deep. You go into it expecting nothing and you leave thinking, wow, that really changed my perspective.
Totally. I have a few of those. Do you have one in mind to start us off?
I do, actually. It's a funny one. It happened years ago when I was traveling. I was on a train in a country where I barely spoke the language. I could say hello, thank you, and where's the bathroom? That was about it.
Okay, the classic traveler's vocabulary. I know it well.
Right? So I'm sitting there looking out the window, and this elderly woman sits down opposite me. She smiles, so I smile back. Then she starts talking to me, rapid fire, in her language.
Oh no, the polite nod and smile, the universal sign for I have no idea what you're saying.
I was doing that for a solid 10 minutes, nodding, smiling, throwing in a yes in her language, which I hoped meant yes, but she was so animated, pointing out the window, laughing, then looking at me expectantly.
Waiting for you to respond.
Yeah, and I felt so bad. So she takes out this little photo album from her bag, and she starts showing me pictures of her family, I assume. Kids, grandkids, and she's telling me stories about each photo. I'm just guessing, of course.
That's actually really sweet. A bit awkward, but sweet.
It was, so I decided to join in. I took out my phone and started showing her pictures of my family my dog, my parents, my sister, and I started telling her about them in English.
Oh, I love that. So you're both just talking in two different languages with absolutely no idea what the other is saying.
Exactly, and it was one of the best conversations I've ever had. We were laughing, she was pointing at my picture of my golden retriever and making barking sounds. I was pointing at her picture of a baby and making crying sounds. We communicated.
That's amazing. It's like you created your own language just for that train ride.
We did. And when she got to her stop, she patted my hand and said something that sounded very kind and got off. I never saw her again, but I'll never forget that conversation where not a single word was understood.
That just shows that so much of communication isn't even about the words, it's the intention, the feeling behind it.
Definitely. What about you? Have you got one awkward for us?
Oh, I have the king of all awkward conversations. It was my first ever proper job interview for a coffee shop when I was about 17.
I can already feel the cringe.
It was bad. The manager was this very serious, stern looking woman. She sits me down and asks the classic question, "What would you say is your biggest weakness?"
Right, the classic question everyone prepares for and still gets wrong.
Well, I had prepared. I had the perfect answer. I was going to say something like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and sometimes I care too much about getting every detail right.
The classic non weakness weakness. Smart.
Except my brain just short circuited, complete panic, and for some reason, the only thing that came out of my mouth was honesty.
Honesty as your biggest weakness? Oh,
No.
It gets worse. The manager, without missing a beat, just raises an eyebrow and says, "Honesty is a weakness?" And I'm in too deep to back out now. My brain is screaming, "Abort, abort!" But my mouth says,
Don't say it.
"Well, I don't really care what you think about honesty."
Oh.
no, you did not.
I did. I basically proved my point in the worst way possible. Her face was just a blank mask of disbelief. There was this silence that felt like it lasted for 100 years.
I am actually speechless. What happened next?
She just blinked slowly, wrote something down on her notepad, and said, "Thank you for your honesty. We'll be in touch."
Let me guess, they were not in touch.
Shockingly, no, I did not get the job. To this day, the memory makes me want to curl up into a ball. It was a complete train wreck of a conversation.
That is an incredible story. It's so awkward, but also hilarious. It reminds me of a conversation I had that was unexpectedly deep.
Oh, okay, let's switch gears from awkward to deep. I'm ready.
I was talking to my grandfather a while back. He's a pretty quiet guy, Doesn't say much. Our conversations are usually about the weather or what we had for lunch.
Yeah, I know the type. Very classic grandfather chat.
Right. But this one day, we were sitting on his porch, and out of nowhere, he just asked me, "Are you happy, Leo?"
Whoa, that is not a weather question.
Not at all. It totally caught me off guard. And I gave the standard answer, "Yeah, of course, Grandpa, things are good." But he just looked at me and said, "That's not what I asked."
Okay, Grandpa's getting serious. I like it.
So I stopped and I actually thought about it, and we ended up having this 2-hour conversation about what happiness actually is, about the difference between having a good life and being truly happy in your moment.
Wow, from the man who usually talks about clouds.
I know. He told me about his regrets, not big ones, but small things, like not taking more time to just watch the sunset, or not telling people he loved them enough. He said, "We spend so much time planning for happiness later that we forget to have it now."
That's really profound. That's a conversation that stays with you forever.
It really has. It completely changed how I see him and honestly how I try to live my day-to-day life. All because he decided to skip the small talk for once. It was a huge gift.
It makes you want to ask people bigger questions, instead of just, how was your day?
Totally. My conversation was memorable because no words were understood, and yours was memorable because of a terrible choice of words.
And yours with your grandpa was memorable because it was the first time the real words were said. It's funny how they can be so different.
It really is. You can have a life-changing conversation with a stranger on a train or with someone you've known your whole life. You never know when one is going to happen.
Okay, I have another one, and this one is just weird. It's a conversation I overheard. Does that count?
Oh, overheard conversations are the best. They're like little windows into other people's bizarre lives. Yes, it absolutely counts.
I was in a grocery store, in the cereal aisle, and there was this couple, maybe in their 60s, looking very seriously at the boxes of cereal.
A very important decision. I respect the gravity of the situation.
So the woman picks up a box of Cheerios and she turns to the man and says, with a completely straight face, "Harold, remember the agreement. No more circles."
No more circles? What does that even mean?
I have no idea, but Harold, the husband, he just sighs this deep, weary sigh and says, "But Marjorie, the squares are so aggressive, all those sharp corners."
Aggressive squares. I'm dying. This is the best thing I've ever heard.
And she wasn't having it. She put the Cheerios back and said, "We decided, Harold, we're a flake family now. It's a compromise." And they just picked up a box of cornflakes and walked off.
A flake family. Wow, I have so many questions. What did the circles do to Harold? Why was Marjorie so against them? This is going to bother me for the rest of the day.
I know! It's one of those conversations that is so mundane on the surface, but the subtext is just a mystery for the ages. It's been 5 years and I still think about Harold and his fear of aggressive squares.
That's the beauty of living in a world with other people. You get these little snippets of their lives and your brain just has to fill in the rest.
My brain invented a whole backstory where Harold had a traumatic incident involving a donut.
Of course it did. That seems like the only logical explanation. That reminds me of a conversation that wasn't funny or weird, but actually completely changed the course of my life.
It really has. It's amazing to think about all the different ways conversations can impact us. They can be funny, deep, awkward, weird, sometimes all at once.
And it's a good reminder to pay attention, to listen. You never know when you'll have a conversation that you'll still be thinking about years later.
Or overhear something about aggressive cereal squares that will bring you joy forever.
There is also that. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to English the Easy Way.
We hope you enjoyed it. Join us next time for more stories and natural conversation. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.